at 5:45 a.m. On a chilly October morning in 2024, a piercing alarm shattered the quiet of our home in Maplewood, Oregon. My daughter, Emily, was in trouble. Her blood sugar had plummeted to a dangerous 62, her continuous glucose monitor screaming for attention. As a parent of a 16-year-old with type 1 diabetes, I'd learned to snap into action, even half asleep. I rushed to Emily's room, where she was already groping for glucose tablets, her hands trembling. "Dad, I'm dropping fast," she mumbled, her voice slurring from hypoglycemia. I guided her to take 3 tablets, my heart pounding but steady. This was our life, a relentless dance with a disease that never rested. By 6:15, Emily's levels had stabilized enough for her to get ready for school. She moved through her routine with the precision of someone far older, checking her glucose monitor, calculating her insulin dose for breakfast, packing her emergency kit. Diabetes had forced her to grow up fast. "I'm going to wait for Lily on the porch," she said, grabbing her phone and testing kit. "My sugar's still a bit off, so I'll keep checking." I nodded, proud of her resilience, but always on edge. That's when Helen Carter, our neighborhood's self-appointed watchdog and HOA president, stormed across her lawn, her voice slicing through the dawn. "Get away from my property," she shrieked, glaring at Emily, who was sitting on our clearly marked front steps. Emily, still fragile from her earlier low, didn't look up, focused on her glucose app. But Helen wasn't having it. "Don't play innocent, you little troublemaker. I've seen you with your needles and gadgets, drug paraphernalia." My stomach churned. I stepped outside, spotting Emily's pale face and shaky hands. Stress could send her sugar spiraling again. "Helen, Emily's on our property, waiting for her ride," I said, keeping my tone even. "I'm James Thompson, a state court judge, used to staying calm under pressure. She's managing her diabetes. That's her insulin pump." Helen's face twisted with contempt. "Diabetes? Please. That's a convenient excuse for a junkie. I've done my research online. Real diabetics are old and heavy. She's young and skinny, clearly lying." Emily's hands shook harder, her monitor beeping as stress spiked her sugar. "Mrs. Carter, I've had diabetes since I was 7, she said softly. "This pump keeps me alive." Helen laughed, a cruel, biting sound. "7? What kind of parent fakes a disease for their kid? You're Judge James. You should be ashamed, covering up her addiction with your fancy connections." This wasn't Helen's first attack. For months, she'd hounded Emily, calling her school to report drug use, filing complaints with child services, even trying to get our family investigated for prescription fraud. Each accusation was dismissed, but the toll on Emily was brutal. She'd started hiding her glucose checks, ashamed of the condition that defined her life. "Helen, this is harassment," I warned, my voice low. "Emily needs to manage her condition. She's done nothing wrong." Helen stepped closer, her voice rising to a hysterical pitch. "Nothing wrong? She's shooting up drugs right now." Emily, now panicking, reached for her insulin pen to correct a high reading. Helen pounced. "See? Injecting drugs in broad daylight. I'm calling the cops." Before I could stop her, she was on the phone with 911, her voice dripping with malice. "There's a teenage drug addict using needles while her judge father protects her. Send officers now." Emily's monitor beeped frantically. Her sugar was crashing again from the stress. "Dad, I'm going low," she whispered, slumping on the steps, her speech slurring. I knelt beside her, urging her to take more glucose tablets, my hands shaking with rage and fear. Helen watched, her eyes gleaming with suspicion. Look at her, high as a kite, slurring, shaking, confused. Classic overdose. "That's hypoglycemia," I snapped. "She could seize or die if her sugar drops further." Helen rolled her eyes. "Spare me the drama. I know a druggie when I see one." 5 minutes later, Officers Bennett and Lou arrived, looking wary. Helen pointed at Emily, now recovering but tearful. "She's been injecting drugs all morning." Officer Bennett approached Emily gently. "Miss, you okay?" Emily nodded, explaining her diabetes and showing her medical ID. I handed over her prescription records, but Helen snatched the ID from Bennett's hand. This is fake. Rich people like him buy diagnoses for special treatment. Officer Lou's patience frayed. Ma'am, return the card. Diabetes is real. These are medical devices. Helen's conspiracy theories spiraled. Real diabetics are old and fat. She's faking, and you're all in on it, probably bribed by the judge. The officers exchanged glances, clearly done with her. But before they could act, Helen lunged at Emily, grabbing her insulin pump and yanking it off her body. Emily cried out in pain as the tubing tore free, blood seeping from the site. I'm confiscating this drug gear. Helen shrieked. I lunged forward, but Officer Bennett was faster, restraining Helen as she screamed about contraband. Emily's sugar was climbing dangerously without her pump. Dad, I need my emergency kit, she gasped. I sprinted inside, while Officer Lou called an ambulance. EMT Carter arrived, horrified to learn Helen had ripped off a diabetic's pump. Her sugar's at 290 and rising, he said, rushing Emily to the hospital. As they loaded her into the ambulance, Helen ranted from the police car. She's faking. It's all a show to make me look bad. At the hospital, doctors warned that Emily's spike could have led to diabetic ketoacidosis, a potentially fatal condition. She spent the night under observation, her new pump humming softly. Sitting by her bed, I vowed Helen would face justice. The next day, the DA's office called, promising to throw the book at her. Assault, harassment, filing false reports, and endangering a minor. I didn't want special treatment, as a judge, just accountability for nearly killing my daughter. The trial, 3 weeks later, was a media firestorm. Helen, after firing her lawyers, chose to represent herself, a disastrous move. On the stand, she doubled down. Your Honor, I was protecting my community. That girl's a drug addict, and her father's using his power to shield her. The prosecutor, D.A. Morgan, dismantled her with surgical precision. Mrs. Carter, is type 1 diabetes a real condition? Helen smirked. So-called diabetes? It's a scam for attention. My online research proves atrial diabetics aren't young and thin. The courtroom gasped. Even the judge looked stunned. Morgan played security footage of Helen attacking Emily's pump, the jury visibly horrified. I was confiscating drug equipment, Helen insisted. If she was really diabetic, it wouldn't have hurt her. Her own words buried her, admitting she knew the risk but didn't care. Emily's victim impact statement was heartbreaking. Mrs. Carter could have killed me, but her refusal to believe my condition hurt even more. I fought diabetes for 9 years, seizures, hospitalizations, constant vigilance. To be called a liar and attacked for it, it broke something in me. Helen was sentenced to 18 months in prison, 5 years probation, mandatory counseling, and restitution for Emily's medical costs. Banned from HOA roles, she was ordered to serve 400 hours at a diabetes advocacy group. As she was led away, she shouted, "She's not diabetic. I know the truth." Her delusion held firm. Months later, the advocacy group reported Helen's refusal to learn, dismissing diabetic patients' stories as lies. Yet her cruelty sparked change. Emily's case fueled local diabetes awareness, hospitals launched education programs, schools improved policies, and the HOA banned medical harassment. Now 17, Emily turned her pain into advocacy, speaking at events about living with diabetes and fighting stigma. A year later, we learned Helen had violated probation, harassing another diabetic teen. Back in prison, she remained unrepentant. But her actions had backfired spectacularly. Emily's voice grew stronger, her advocacy touching thousands. Our neighborhood now meets medical conditions with empathy, not suspicion, a world Helen unwittingly helped create. What do you think? Should ignorance like Helen's be punished as a crime, or is education enough? Can someone so entrenched in their beliefs ever change, or are they a lost cause? Should Emily forgive her for the sake of healing, or hold her accountable forever? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that spark real talk. Where are you watching from? Let's get this conversation going.